Hello, welcome back to the channel. Websy Bongi here. Hope you guys are doing well. I'm just gonna express myself, not too much of an update, just express myself, how I've been feeling, and just express a few pointers that I've noticed. I don't know if anyone's really noticed this or they've dealt with it themselves in some form. And I think, I don't know what I'm gonna name this video, but I just want to express, from a realistic standpoint of what I personally have gone through. Some may not agree with this, some may just whatever. Anyways, I just want to express myself, just get this out and open and just be clear on what I'm going through. I just feel like there's a lot of illusion behind religions, viewpoints, and I think a lot of that has to do with just the energies people are going through. And it kind of goes along with what I said in my other previous video about, you know, we carry on this label that we're a certain thing or we're a part of this certain group. But I just feel like at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. And at the end of the day, you know, things don't matter in this life. The struggles we face don't matter. The things that we come in contact with don't matter. The only thing that matters in this life is love and forgiveness and expressing that to people. And I just feel like in some ways, I don't know if anyone else feels like this, you can express yourself so much and give so much of yourself that it's not really being heard. And I feel like here lately I've been going through that where it's like I can express myself, but at the end of the day, I'm alone at it, or I feel, or it seems like I'm alone at it. And like for me, it's not so much not having friends, not having this support group that I am. It's not any of that. It's mainly being heard. And I feel like a lot of people, from a good point of view or their perception, they're expressing themselves. But it just feels like to me, there's a part of me that there's this other group that aren't being heard. And then there's this misconception of religion and how people perceive themselves. And it's like, it's easy. Once you getting grounded, and I was there too at a point, getting and grounded, in a faith, in an organization, in a belief system. You could put any title to that, it doesn't matter. But what I'm stressing on here is the fact that we hold too tightly to these religions, or we hold too tightly to these practices, that we miss out on the most important thing, and that's how we love people. And I'm not saying everyone has to love a particular way or be perfected at it. What I am saying, we lose the goal in it all. And something that I'm coming to terms with is whether you believe the same way that I do or whether you believe completely opposite. We all should have a goal in mind, and that is to love humanity, to love people as an individual, and not to put our beliefs on another. And, for an example, with these different beliefs, whether it's Christianity, whether it's paganism, whether it's Satanism, or whether it's Buddhism, trying to think the other one, Muslim, you know, we as a whole, especially these old teachers like Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, they were all teachers in some degree. And some people are free to believe whatever they believe. But in my personal opinion, in my experience, I consider each of these different groups or these different religions or faith or whatever you call them, um, they have good points to them. Now, the bad points of all of them wherever you associate with, whether you're atheist or whatever, is getting stuck into the practices that you can't separate yourself from the fact that this person I'm dealing with across the table is the same flesh and blood. Yes, they may be a different color, but we're all one. So if we all have the same goal in mind to either reach the world or change the world or just love on humanity, not unless you don't feel like that's your calling and it's vice versa or whatever, you know, we should all love each other. That should be our goal. Not to exchange the ideas that you're better than me or my belief is stronger than yours. I just feel like there's enough said of negativity on each organization, on each group, that we want to hate on everybody. And then the negative effects, some people aren't being heard. I don't think that's really right. Whether it's on either side, I'm not going to get on a debate on that. But I just feel like our common goal as humans, as species, as we evolve and choose to evolve and grow, because sooner or later we're going to have to evolve. That's just how nature works. That's how science works. That's just how species work. We have to evolve or we will die. And I've heard that term before. I just feel like it doesn't matter where you stand on your faith. What matters is your heart, your intentions are pure, and you honestly feel like your purpose is to love people. Now, I'm saying, with that in mind, everyone has their viewpoints, but the misconception with that is we don't love like we should, or we have the illusion of what we think love is. Where if we're in this circle of our religion or our practices, that everyone has to believe that. And that's false. To think that just because you believe something means you have to put that on others. That's not love. Love is unconditional. Love is, even for me, is hard to understand. How can you love someone that has hurt you? Or how can you love someone when they betray you, when they do hurtful things or say hurtful things? The list can go on. And I always think the best way to describe that, there's a difference between when you like something and when you love something. And I just feel like we get too much in our head when it comes to religion, that we feel like everything we've ever known or everything we thought to be true isn't. Even religion in itself is an illusion where it gets people trapped into their belief system, and then they want to indoctrinate other people when the whole idea behind anything should be love. Your intention should be love. It shouldn't be bigotry. It shouldn't be hate. It shouldn't be criticizing and putting people down lower than the earth. It should be building people up. Wherever you stand on in your religion or wherever you stand on your practices. Because it looks like to me, I heard this term and I know it's in the Bible, whatever, but it makes sense to me. I'm trying to think, I lost space. I hate when that happens. What is good is considered evil, and whatever is considered evil is considered good. And from time to time, I keep seeing it. I always thought that, witches were evil. I always thought that witchcraft was evil, or, vice versa, Satanism. But the real fault here is not what looks or appears evil. It's all about your heart, really, if you look deep down. Because it's like you can meet And I've met it. You can meet the nicest person, but yet they're associated with this group. Or you can meet the most evil person and they're associated with this group. Now, I'm not trying to be a confusing person here. I'm just saying, it doesn't matter if you're a Christian or if you're a pagan or whatever your religion is. I don't want to be confusing about that. But why is it time and time I see it where these Christians feel like that they have to be superior over everyone else. And if you don't believe like they do, you're going to hell, or, it can go vice versa. And I'm not trying to have a debate. I'm just being from my standpoint, my experiences, that just because you're in a group or just because you're in an organization or a religion doesn't give you the right to hurt people. It doesn't give you the right to judge people just because they don't believe like you. And I hear it time and time again is, people want to preach at you for not living the life they claim that you should be living, but they themselves are being hypocrites. They're not living by the Bible, if you want to be technical, because there is a verse in the Bible where it talks about love casteth out fear. But when you're being judgmental to someone, you're being fearful because you don't know the knowledge. And I see that when it comes to paganism is, and I've got so much hate for this, that just because you're a pagan doesn't mean, you have the right. Or just because you're a Christian doesn't mean you have the right. When love should be your goal. And it's like, I don't want to get too much in the argument, but like yesterday, something came up. And, I'm just expressing this out of my concern and just expressing and laying it on the table is, yes, I grew up in a Baptist background and I know a lot of the Bible, but it's completely opposite, when I'm in paganism because, I'm looking at both angles of it when it comes to paganism, when it comes to Christianity, that there's not respect on both sides. That if you're a Christian, and I see it because I used to be a Christian, is there's judgment more than anything. But yet when you're into paganism like I am, why is it more love based? Not bigotry. I don't know. I just feel like personally I'm not being heard. And it doesn't matter, it really doesn't, because it's an illusion to get me off course on where I need to be. But I'm just expressing to you that at the end of the day, your religion doesn't matter. At the end of the day, your words don't matter. What matters is your heart. What matters is if you're trying to do the best you can. And I just feel like, I can express so much how I feel. I can express so much what's going on. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. What matters is what am I doing now? What matters is my intentions are pure. And I just feel like, I don't know if it's a growing up thing. I don't know if it's because it's an age thing. But I just feel like ever since I've gotten into paganism, that slowly, and it's a lot of what I tell myself and the stories I play over my head, but a lot of it is, it hurts to know that there's not a connection when people change a course or when people change their religion or their status quo or whatever, that people tend to gravitate judgment on that person instead of love and light. Because we shouldn't be, like I said in my previous video, we shouldn't be out to destroy people. I don't care who the person is, the offender, whatever. We shouldn't be out to destroy people, but yet people think that's an idea that they should keep. I just feel like we need to eliminate that. And the thing is, the more judgment you put out to people or the universe or whatever, I just feel like people aren't really getting in tune with what really love is. All they see is what they don't understand, and so it brings fear. And that's something I don't understand, and I may never understand about people. Just because you don't know something and it looks scary or it's dark doesn't mean you should begin to fear inside and have so much fear, and therefore you project out, you know, that contradicts with my belief. Well, that doesn't mean you have the right to just, you know, be bigotry or a bigotry, and hateful or judge people just because they believe differently. Anyways, I'm not trying to sound like a woe is me type of person. I'm just trying to express there's too much, negativity going on around that. I just feel like people need to wake up out of this illusion. And it's easy, regardless of whatever you practice or whatever your faith is. You know, it's just, it's not going anywhere. This hate, this judgment, everyone feels like they have to get their 2 words in when it just doesn't matter. What matters is love. And I just feel like, no matter who the person is or whatever they've done, love needs to be the cry. And I just feel like, I'm not being heard. And I just feel like the best thing I can do in this situation is just focus on me, focus on, you know, not being better than everyone, but just being me. And if people can't accept that, I'm sorry, they're not meant to be in my life. And it's like, I just feel like I'm not really being heard. And it just hurts that, people can't come together. People can't come to their senses and come to realize what really love is. Love is truly loving that person regardless of who they are and what they've done and what they're about. Because if we're about fear and judgment, wouldn't you want the same thing, whatever you practice and whatever your faith is? Because I feel like it should go both ways, not necessarily the confusion part, but, whatever you believe in, whatever your practice is, it should be equal. If the word, I'm trying to think of the word, treat people the way you want to be treated, regardless of if they're into dark stuff or they're into stuff that makes you question your own faith. Love that person regardless of who they are. And it's like, we can go on this cycle of life thinking that, whatever we associate with is better than people, or, the negativity. Let's stop and think for once, if I was in that person's shoes. Because we're all connected, there's no private thoughts, we're all one, we're all made of the same thing. There's no one better than that person. I just feel like, the hate needs to stop and really look at ourselves in the mirror and really see things for what they are. And know that at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. What matters is love. What matters is forgiveness. What matters is casting that fear out. When you see something you don't understand, try to observe it, try to gather the facts about it, and try to understand that regardless of this person, I'm going to love them. Regardless of what I believe and what I grew up to believe, I'm going to love them. And if that's not in your vocabulary, I'm sorry, but I'm going to keep on doing what I feel is best. But anyways, I just wanted to share that. And hope someone can understand that, I'm not trying to be negative here. I'm not trying to get on someone's case, but I just feel like, there's not respect. There's not love, what people think love is. And I just feel like we need to get back to that. Anyways, bye bye for now.